basement of La Penta. This is WICR.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Sports Vault. I am your host with the most, Jersey Joe. What a very cold, frigid day it is today. But I'm in the studio, it's nice and warm in here for 2 solid hours. There's plenty of time to get to everything we want to. NBA, NFL, MLB. Big Shot Rob will join me for the second hour. But right now, the biggest thing I had to start off with was Marcus Mariota. As you can see right now, I'm wearing the Marcus Mariota jersey, one of my latest pickups, and I'm so excited for this draft and to watch him throw at the Combine. I mean, I really am. We all understand the Combine starts today, Friday the 20th, and tomorrow quarterbacks will throw. Still haven't heard about Jameis Winston if he's going to throw. We might later in the day today, but we know that Marcus Mariota is going to throw. And everybody and their grandmother has an opinion about Marcus Mariota if he's going to succeed in the NFL. Folks, I've been saying it all along. I think I've watched almost every single game Marcus has played during his Oregon career. If it was a game that I had access to, I watched it. So I might have only missed 2 or 3 games per season, and the only ones that weren't broadcast on either Fox or ESPN if it was on the Pac-12 network. And usually that wouldn't have been a big game. It would have probably been a game against Utah or one of the smaller programs. But overall, I think I have a pretty good understanding of his skill set, what he can do, what he's done. And the biggest knock is, first thing I do this morning is I go on Bleacher Report, I go on ESPN, and of course on Bleacher Report you see the first article. Marcus Mariota's play calling inexperience, a major negative, and he knows it. Well, Bleacher Report, if we all kind of listen to them, we would definitely have a lot of wrong opinions about things. But look, driving up here this morning, I was listening to Mike and Mike, Louis Riddick, and I think he told you what I expected. I mean, he interviewed very, very well with initial NFL guys, and the NFL guys wanted to throw NFL verbiage at him, see what he could if he could understand it, if he could break it down for them. And he said they were blown away, and I mean, he even went as far to say one of the best interviews ever. I mean, I don't know about that, but I mean, I think that's what it is. Smart people make and understand things in life and in sports. When you're a smart guy, you're going to figure things out. I'm not as worried about it with Marcus Mariota. Now, that's all the knock on him is he's a system quarterback. He wasn't asked to do these types of things in college. Yeah, he wasn't asked to do those types of things. But if you ask him to be put in a situation, he's going to work at it. And that's one thing that if you watched him closely in college, you could always see very well. He really reads defense as well. I think he mastered that offense at Oregon. He will master an offense in the NFL because he understands the game so well. The biggest thing that gives rookies problems in the NFL, especially a quarterback, is understanding the game, reading an NFL defense, the verbiage. I mean, I'll never forget when Cam Newton came out. And he admitted it right away that how much he was struggling with the verbiage. Athleticism only takes you so far. In the NFL, it's the ability to understand the game, to read a defense, really get full command of an offense. And I have all the confidence in the world in Marcus Mariota to do that because he's shown how smart and how adept he is on the football field. I saw time and time again at Oregon just how quickly he was able to pick apart defenses and understand what they were giving him. Now, are people ever going to go back and knock him a little bit for the Ohio State game? I don't think the Ohio State game had as much to do with understanding the defense than it was just Ohio State was just a much more physical team. If you watched Oregon this year, you knew that all year their problem was their offensive line was weak. They really didn't have a lot of big physical guys, and Ohio State just was physically just pushed them around. That was the key in that game there. I don't think it had as much to do with anything Marcus could have done. I just think they were physically pushed to a limit they couldn't go to, Oregon. But I'm really excited to see what Marcus is going to do because he's got and he said all the right things. He knows what he has to do. And I think that's the biggest thing is he knows the work. I was also reading in the articles today that Phillip Rivers worked with him, which was very interesting because the one thing I'll say about Phillip Rivers is I watch a lot of his press conferences, how much he just loves reading defenses. He loves being in the film room. I mean, Philip Rivers, it was funny when Mike McCoy came over as the new head coach. He said one of the things that was most exciting to him was about his playbook and how it was a little bit similar and things that he was kind of going to take from the old stuff with Norv Turner and incorporate it there. This is a guy who just loves and lives for the game of football and just NFL verbiage and just looking at defenses and schematics on the football field. So I think Philip's a good guy to kind of go to for this type of thing, because the only thing that's going to keep Marcus from really succeeding right now is really understanding the game, how it's played at the next level, schematically, tactically, all those things. But I have a lot of confidence, and Chip Kelly is just the guy I keep going back to, because let's understand something. Chip is a guy who's always just kind of, innovators are always the guys who are kind of above the cut when it comes to college, when it comes to the NFL. There's a reason why Bill Belichick was always going to Chip Kelly. They were always sharing joint practices in the summer times. Bill would always bring him in training camp and things of that nature. And there's a reason for that, because Chip is always so innovative. He's always thinking outside the box. And I think in the NFL, that's what you've got to do, because the level of competition is so close between everybody. You're not going to outwork another coach. You really aren't going to outthink that greatly another coach. You've got to get every advantage you can innovative-wise to kind of set yourself apart and do whatever you can differently to make a matchup difficult for another team. And that's one thing Chip Kelly has always done. And he just keeps on saying how much, just when he got Marcus, how easily and how different he was just being able to read concepts at an early level and things like that. And we've seen how Marcus Mariota has progressed at Oregon each year, getting better, getting faster, getting better command. I just think progression-wise, he's ready for this next level. He's got the athleticism. He's physically strong. I'm not worried about him being a run-first guy. He understands that how he's got to play. And going back to Louis Riddick this morning, the comparison that I kind of always make, and he said that as well, was Russell Wilson. Now, physically, they're very different. I mean, they do have similar styles, but I mean, just in terms of their physicality, Marcus is much better, much bigger than Russell Wilson is, but they both have great arms. And I think it's just the maturity thing. When you have a guy like that, and I want a boring quarterback. I'll be honest, off the field, I don't want to know what you're doing. I don't want to see what you're doing on Twitter. And how many followers on Twitter does Peyton Manning have? 0. How many Instagram posts does Peyton Manning have? 0. Russell Wilson uses Twitter. Russell Wilson uses Instagram. He doesn't post anything, though. Nothing that, he's always ever doing is football work, or is going and helping out people at children's hospitals and things like that. Boring is what you want with a quarterback. You just want your guy to be committed, locked in a film room at 1 a.m. on a Thursday, breaking down coverage of the Cleveland Browns. That's what I want out of my quarterback, and I think that's what you will get out of Marcus Mariota. I think it's always very surprising to me, and I talk to this with people a lot about, in this generation especially, everybody in our generation is on social media. If you don't have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you're on something, and you're most likely using it. And it's always very interesting to me when I see a guy from this generation who's not on it, and that's Marcus Mariota. We don't really see what he does, and I think that's a good sign. I think he wants to be a little bit private, and that's good, because we don't need to have you all over the place. And it kind of shows me he knows where his priorities are, and I think he's so committed to being a quarterback at the next level, and I would draft him in a heartbeat. I really would. We're seeing so much now, reports where that Tampa Bay was interested in him. Lovie Smith liked him a lot. The Jets, if he fell to them, might take him. The Eagles are the interesting team everybody keeps keeping their eye on. Are they going to try to make a move up to take him? I really think, the more and more we see, when we hear Chip Kelly keep saying these little things, I think he might. And I got to be honest, we all understand in the NFL, you don't win anything if you don't have a quarterback. If you think he's your guy, I would go up and take him. This isn't going to be like a Jamarcus Russell thing or a Robert Griffin III thing, I really don't think. I think you know what he's going to be. You know he has to be developed, but if you're willing and you build a system that will fit him, I would do it in a heartbeat. I really would. Now, there are some teams that I wouldn't be too confident in their ability to do that development. I think it would have to be a Chip Kelly type guy, a very outside the box type thinker who's going to really knows how he will succeed and how he will thrive. But I would just do it. I really, even if I'm the Jets right now with the way things have gone, I think you got to pull the trigger. If he falls to you, you're not going anywhere without a quarterback. You really are not. I think that is the piece that once you have that piece, you worry about everything else because you go nowhere without one. Even the Seahawks, I mean, right now, Russell Wilson, some people knock him, some people don't. I am not. I'm a huge Russell Wilson fan. But even with that Seahawks team, they go nowhere without him. He is the guy who makes everything else work. They have a terrific defense, terrific personnel on a lot of sides of the football in all phases. But he is the piece that allows them, that enables everything else to work. It works that way with everything in the NFL. Look at the Colts with Andrew Luck. That is one of the most talent-deprived rosters I've seen in a while in the NFL. They got to the AFC Championship game. Why? Because they have a quarterback. That is the thing that solves all of your problems. If you don't have one, you're not winning. And Marcus, it'll be interesting. Now, the Combine, I really don't take too much stock out of what we will see in the Combine. I really don't. I mean, I remember Cam Newton a couple years ago. Again, he didn't throw that well at the Combine. It's not going to really make your mind or break your decision on a guy. It's just a little bit interesting to see. I really won't take much stock out of it. It's just kind of fun as a fan to watch what they do there. But again, this isn't really going to change your perception on the guy. You're doing your homework right now if you're an organization. You know what you like, what you need to see from this guy, and I just think everything we're seeing for Marcus is very promising. I would draft him in a heartbeat. I think maturity is so important, like I keep on saying. He has it. He's going to put in the work. Everything we've heard for this morning, especially from Louis Riddick, seems he's really awing NFL organizations. And it's, at the end of the day, it is the play calling. It is verbiage. It's breaking down a defense. He's showing he's understanding it, which I'm not surprised at all. If you watch him at Oregon, that's something he always did well. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch these two guys. And Jameis Winston, again, Louis Riddick said about him too. He did well, especially with the verbiage in the verbiage department. And especially for Jameis, it's something you want to see because he struggled a lot turning the ball over this year. That Florida State offense was nowhere near as sharp as they were last year. Now, they didn't get as much production in the running game. Dalvin Cook was okay. But overall, that offense was not as crisp as they were last year. Definitely were better a season ago. But I think Jameis is always going to have a little bit more he's got to show people because those off-the-field distractions are going to weigh heavily. And especially what we've seen in the last year with Adrian Peterson and Ray Rice, NFL organizations don't want another one of those things happening to them. So you really need to be careful and ask yourself, do you really want to potentially risk a similar situation with your organization? I think it's something I'd be worried about, but I have no concerns about him from a physical level. I just think, again, it's the same thing maybe with Marcus a little bit. Can he read an NFL defense? Can he take full command of a huddle and really understand the game? And I think right now it seems NFL teams were pretty impressed with that, and with both guys in that department. So it's very interesting there. But that is going to wrap it up for this segment. When we come back, a little bit more NFL, get into the NBA, and then move into the MLB a little bit. So stay with us, and we will be right back.